I started at my local youth theatre and carried on acting through school, after school, at the youth theatre, and then carried on through university as well. Didn't go to drama school. Came out of university and did a lot of stuff on the London Fringe and picked up an agent on the London Fringe, which was a bit of a fluke. So I didn't have to do all that, the horrific thing that actors have to do, writing letters, begging letters for an agent. I lucked in. I get terrible first day nerves, yeah. I started acting in 1992, and I presumed that it would get easier as you go along, but it definitely doesn't. You just get more and more nervous as it goes on. I don't know why that is. My first job was 2 weeks on 4 weddings and a funeral, which gave me a completely deluded sense of what the acting profession was going to be like. And I thought, well, this acting lark's easy, and I know what people are talking about. And then, of course, after that job, probably spent about a year out of work and desperately trying to get a theatre job. So that was my first job. And I think after that, probably the biggest telly thing I did was with Jane Featherstone, who's now our executive producer and was producer of a series called Touching Evil with Robson Green. And we did 3 series of that. And I played D.I. Susan Taylor, a gun-carrying specialist police officer.
I actually wrote Last Train, that character, for Nicola. I didn't know she would do it, but I was seeing her in Touching Evil. And I thought she was great, and she had the right sort of tomboy, sort of hard-edged quality to her performance that I wanted for that character.
I play Ruth Evershed. I am collator of information for MI5 extraordinaire. There is no institution in this country that Ruth cannot get into. Ruth, originally, she was seconded from GCHQ to come work at MI5, and I think that's always been her dream. And she's probably, I always imagine that she's come through, she's Oxbridge, and she's always wanted to work at MI5. She was fast-tracked through GCHQ, but couldn't really make that leap. And when she first came into the series, she spent most of the time being terrified that she was going to be sent back to GCHQ, which nearly happened because of her own political naivety during one episode. And it's pretty much her life. Her job is her life, and she's quite happy with that. I don't think Ruth has very much of a family. She certainly doesn't have very much of a love life, and all of her friends are her colleagues and are, in a sense, her extended family. And fortunately, I think I can remember filming that first day and being so horrifically nervous because you were coming onto this established programme. And going into the meeting room for the first time, and Keeley, Matthew, Peter, David, all... and I think all Ruth's first lines were dropping files, falling over, stuttering. And I just remember thinking, I'm so pleased that she is monumentally nervous, because I could barely put one foot in front of the other anyway. It was quite useful. I'd love to talk to Ruth at a party. I'd like to have her... She'd be a fantastic dinner party guest, because she'd undoubtedly drink too much and become quite flirtatious with all the wrong people. She's such a smart lady. She's obsessive about codes and problems, and she fight all the sort of things that I'm absolutely appalling at. Ruth is brilliant. She's such a lateral thinker, and I think probably she'd have been a World War II Bletchley Park. She's a genius. She's got a fantastic brain. Socially, she's completely inept, and I think if you put that together with Ruth being in a social situation involving drink, it would be quite amusing. We've never done it. I'd quite like to see Ruth on the loose, what she would do. And it's very exciting when any of us get to leave the grid. But it means that between us we have whole other stories going on between takes, sort of ideas about how we will hang out together and have huge chess competitions. And I don't know what we'd wear if we went out to a disco together. So it's kept all of us amused. But I think, the disadvantage is that we don't get to do really cool things, like go through huge plate glass windows and SAS styly, and we don't get to do some of the more exciting spy stuff. Okay, done.
Ruth, what just happened?
Danny just made 50 grand. Or he would have if we'd been really trading.
How do you know all about this stuff?
I was in love with a big swinging dick. That's slang for a trader. I think Ruth probably, yeah, she had an affair with with a stock money market man. And maybe I think that's probably been her biggest love affair to date. And I think that was quite a while ago, unfortunately, for Ruth.
They said I could have the transfer if... Very occasionally, I reported what you were doing. I mean, this is the first time I've done it.
Well, reported directly to Amanda Rowe. Well, now you're a classic double agent.
When I first met for Ruth, I wasn't told about that, and I didn't really have any idea of where the character was going to go. And but I think that it was a mistake from her being naive. I think I'd have quite liked it if she'd been actively a double agent, but Ruth hasn't got it in her to be a double agent. She's a good girl. She's in MI5 because she wants to make a difference. She truly does, and she just felt that what she was doing wasn't wrong. And I think that's why Tom allows her to come back in. Otherwise, there's no way she would have been let back into the fold. So it was a naive political decision, a big lesson for her, and led to her absolute adoration of Tom from that moment in the series on, series 3. Yeah, there's very much the new guard of Adam and Fiona. But Ruth secretly actually has a photo of Tom in her desk drawer that she opens occasionally and strokes because she misses Tom. I think it's only good for the series that MI5 is this huge beast that will keep going, and there is a huge turnover of operatives because they burn out because of what they do. I get to sing part of Mozart's Requiem because Ruth, in a slightly stalkerish fashion, goes to find this man that she's fallen in love with through listening to him on transcripts in the office. And on the day we filmed it, this brilliant choir turned up, and I don't think I'd never even heard this piece of music. And myself and the actor playing the man, Barnaby Kay, stood with this choir and had to learn in about 20 minutes. But it was fine. They were very helpful, and the conductor of the choir spent a bit of time with us. We just followed his mouth a lot of the time, just copied him. I love the fact that the writers, I think the writers enjoy Ruth's loneliness, and I think that's rather intriguing, because Ruth has always been quite happy with the fact that she's alone, and it's only been it was only this recent series where she starts to wonder if maybe she could have a bit more than coming home to her cat. I was very upset that you actually got to see Ruth's cat in episode 5, but it had to be cut for time constraints. There's a moment where Ruth came through the door and sort of shouted out, "Hello, darling," and you presumed that maybe there would be this man standing with her dinner ready on the table, and it panned down to this cat, sort of waiting for her to come home.
I leave the radio on, Rachel. I leave the radio on when I'm out of the office, so that when I get home to an empty house, at least there's some shred of human warmth there to greet me. It's
interesting that she is happy. She's quite self-contained, and she doesn't wallow in the fact that she's lonely. Although in this series, she falls in love with someone from listening to the transcripts, and unfortunately, he's someone who's equally lonely, and they should be perfect for each other. But I love the fact that the writers on Spooks are cruel enough to take that away and to say, but they're both shy people. They do. In that moment, they have a Londinium, it's Ruth's Londinium holiday, her Roman holiday. And she falls in love in that moment, and so does he. And they walk away from each other. And that's more real than Ruth suddenly being happy.